Okay, day 2 for NaNoWriMo 2021. We are ready to go. I managed to do a little bit of review and self-editing after we finished the streams yesterday. So as of yesterday afternoon, I have a net word count of 5,084 words, which is pretty good for me. I typically don't get all that much writing done because I completely and totally edit as I write. So yesterday was a good start, and today I am hoping that we can make a really good start on chapter 2 and finish that if possible, because I do have 4 sprints scheduled for today, which I might be a melted puddle of a brain at the end of it, but we shall see how we go. I did discover yesterday at the end of my writing sprint that in chapter 1, as it stands, it's fine, but there's quite a lot of world building that I haven't done. So I have an absolutely enormous list for myself of world building stuff that I need to figure out at some point. I'm not sure when. So right now the plan is I'm going to go and do all of these sprints as per the plan of just all writing during the sprints, no editing whatsoever. If I have time at the end of each day, I will probably just do a little bit of editing just because I can't help myself. But if things go well, which they may not always go well, we'll see how I feel when I get to the middle of the book. Then that does mean that with 15 chapters planned, I may get to the end of the story. Well, maybe at some time before the end of the month. I hesitate to say halfway through the month because I am pretty conservative and I don't like to overestimate and underdeliver. But if I should so happen to be fortunate enough to finish ahead of time, then what I will do is, with the remaining sprints planned, I will actually go back and spend a lot of the time making revision notes for myself and figuring out some of those world building issues that I haven't figured out as yet. I literally don't know how you do this as a discovery writer. Like, this is just freaking me out so much. Normally I have everything like planned, incredibly detailed down to a lot more specifics than I do right now, but Nano is all about learning, so I am learning a lot here. Okay, so I think for chapter 2, what I did do yesterday as well is I did come back and think about my plot breakdown, my chapter breakdown, whichever. And so here, I just kind of spread that out. So what I did do is, when I was going through and making revision notes for myself, I just kind of put this down into my chapter breakdowns, and I just kind of gave myself like a lot of little notes here. And I have a lot of overall world building to do. But I did have a think about chapter 2, roughly how many scenes would be in there, and what I thought those scenes would be about. Right now, I'm kind of not sure if these scenes are, if they're a little, I don't know. I feel like I need to get Rahilu into the main plot, which is like she needs to actually be a petitioner, but her first try fail cycle, she's like fails. So we need to do something else for her to get in. So I think what we're going to do is the second try-fail cycle she's going to do is I think we need a chapter seeing her in the aftermath of what just happened at the end of chapter 1. It might be time for originally I was thinking of having her go home or go find her mother or something, but technically that doesn't work with the timeline because she does need to actually get her petition in by the end of the day. Otherwise, they're not going to have time to process it or whatever. So she needs to figure it out before the end of the day. And because she's been late already this morning, like I think right now in terms of the story, it's like around noon. I I think is where we're kind of at in the daily timeline. So I think what I might get her to do is, we already had a reference in chapter 1 to her going dumpster diving, so I guess we will do some dumpster diving. I don't know what dumpster diving looks like in Fantasyland. We'll figure that out when we get there. And then I think we need to get her to meet some of the other characters that are going to be important later in the story, because I know when I get into the next chapter, which is going to be chapter 3, that is probably going to have a whole bunch of new characters, in which case we should try and kind of stagger out the new characters as we go. So, all right, so let's go in and figure out what we're doing here. So, here we go. Oh, great start. This is already like terrible, because I'm like, what is the conflict when you're dumpster diving? I don't know. Like, I guess it's not a very socially acceptable thing to do, but I guess she doesn't really care at this point. Like, maybe somebody catches her, tries to chase her off. Oh, hey, buddy. All right, bud, if you're gonna sit on my lap, you need to be quiet, okay? And maybe like, this is awkward. This is very awkward to type, but okay, whatever. Okay, so I think we're gonna say, she is successful. She, like, i.e. she finds something useful in the dumpster. But, oh, I don't know. She pays. There's gotta be some sort of cost to it. I'm just tempted to be like, I will figure this one out. I'm just like, maybe she gets beat up, but like she's already beaten up pretty bad. Oh. Alright, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it. Like, so technically with the try fail cycle, it's supposed to be like, you know, a character tries something and the question is, does it work? And if it doesn't, then, you know, you typically tend to worsen the situation. So in chapter 1, we do the try fail cycle. So she tries to get her petition in. Does it work? No. And she got beaten up. So here, if it does work, what it's supposed to be like is a character tries something. Does it work? Yes, but there's a new problem. So I need to think about the new problem. So yeah, it's like a middle scene / like middle dramatic arc syndrome, because right now I have like chapter 2.2, Rohirrim and Senjay meet. I need to figure out pronunciations at some point, but whatever. All right, so these two characters meet, and it is like totally unclear what the conflict is, because yes, I can just have two characters meet, but now how does that advance conflict for anything? So, hey, morning, X-Men. Yeah, the tri-fail cycle reminds me of Powered by the Apocalypse engine. Always end a player's action with the question, what do you do? Yeah, absolutely. I have to say that, like, I really like the tri-fail cycle as a way of making sure that the plot always advances forward. And I guess it's not necessarily always just plot, right? Like, because it's so character driven with, like, you know, what is the character attempting to do? You're always by default advancing character as well. I just, like, I must have read Save the Cat like 10 times or whatever, and every time I try to do a plot with a Save the Cat structure, I'm just like, my brain doesn't work, because I'm just like, fun and games. Like, Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. It's like the same problem I have with, like, you know, writing a chapter around a cool city because I'm just don't know what that is. So yeah, I think, like, yeah, I actually have some envy for people who do a lot of tabletop RPGs and DM stuff, because I'm just like, you guys must be so good at plotting and everything, because it's just like, I feel like it's a very natural progression to do that, and also write a novel. Except, like, you know, when you're writing a novel, you're kind of like creating the story by yourself, which is different. Still fun, but different. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What should these guys conflicts be? Oh, I know. Easy. So basically, I think we'll go with Sanjay is a nice person. Sees her young sees your can't type this morning. Her younger self in Rahilu, and wants to help. And then Rahilu's like either in a massive self-pity funk or highly suspicious, or proud and refuses help. Okay. I think that's just going to be the conflict. It's not a hugely revolutionary conflict, but it doesn't matter. It just needs to kind of define the relationship between these two. And Sanjay, as we've already kind of seen, like, she's kind of like been forging the path ahead for somebody not affiliated with the house getting into a house. So yeah. Oh, hey Andrew, welcome to the stream. Feeding the kids is important. I had to feed my cat as well, but the cat was probably a little easier than the kids. You haven't missed much, just me basically figuring out what am I going to do in chapter 2. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go with what we've got here. This is good enough to start. So here we go. Chapter 2 reference. Here we go. All right, where's my little matter? Oh, hey, no, I have not seen Sanderson do a Nano announcement. That's awesome. I'm gonna be guessing that he's probably writing. Let's see what he's. You know what? I think he's actually still writing the Skyward 4 outline. Last I checked, because that was going to be his major project. Or he might be. Oh no! If he's finished the Skyward 4 outline, it might actually be the Lost Medal, which means I'm super excited. No, hang on. He's finished. I'm not exactly sure where he's up to, because I haven't watched an update for a little bit on his YouTube channel. Oh, that is exciting. I don't know that we're going to be able to keep up with him. Because he's just so prepared. He'll have his outline all sorted out and stuff. But wow, that is exciting news. I think he's really not done Nano for many years. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to have a 19k word day. I feel like I don't actually have all that many words in the story, but we'll see how we go. I usually have my best days right at the end of the book. I'm just like, okay, I know all the plot threads and all the things that I need to wrap up. So I'm not going to rule it out, but I think I'll be pretty happy if I beat my well, hang on. No, I did beat my personal best yesterday. So yeah, no, maybe if I can get to like a 10K day, that'd be pretty awesome. Where is Sanderson showing his nano progress? Twitter. So usually if he's doing a writing sprint, he usually live tweets his word count progress. NaNoWriMo and updating Reddit daily. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. All right, that is so awesome. Oh, super inspirational, guys. Thanks for the tip, Andrew. I really had no idea because I was just like, oh, he never does it because he like literally hasn't done it in years and years and years and years. But of course, he's gonna have no problem. Hey Stephen, welcome to the stream. And no, Rahilu has not napped yet and burned the whole place down. That may be part of the finale. I don't actually know what the finale looks like. Right now she is in a Scrivener shop looking for something to fix her torn up petition. I am going really slowly at the moment because I'm just like, oh, how do I word good? I don't know if it's like the fact that like I've started at 5 a.m. and my brain is just like still not functioning despite having tea and caffeine. But it's been like, it's almost how long has it been? It's probably been about 40 minutes and I only have 450 words. That's okay though. What's more important is the process. So I'm just gonna keep going, and hopefully I feel like every time I establish like a new location and new scene, I always spend loads and loads of words just kind of like establishing the setting. So probably in hindsight, I shouldn't have had her bouncing around so many different locations. One of the things I will need to do is make a list of locations that she's been to, and so that I can try and like reuse some of these locations so I don't have to constantly spend words to establish the new location. But yeah, like right now I'm just like, oh man, I should have tried to like set this somewhere else. Hey buddy, what are you doing? Can you maybe move off my desk? It's very hard to write with you here. Sorry guys, my cat has just decided to do this. I guess I should be grateful that he's not actually lying on top of my keyboard as he does. Okay, bye. Oh my goodness. All right, we are now almost to the end of this particular sprint. I am very, very close to the end of this particular chapter. I just kind of need to like wrap it up somehow. I literally just need Rahili to like conclude on her next step, which I was gonna have be dumpster diving because like in my outline I had dumpster diving happening like right now, and I haven't decided whether or not she is going to just like raid this guy's dumpster anyway, or whether she's gonna like ask him if she can, or whatever it is, or whether she's gonna like go dumpster diving somewhere else. Part of me is like, I kind of want to move locations because I feel like we've kind of been in this location too long, and the other part of me is also like, what more words? Not that more words is a problem right now because Nano is about like getting all the words. So we'll see. I might. I don't know. I'm kind of really not sure what I'm gonna do next. Let's see what you guys are working on. So Steven says, imagine living and writing a horror story in Australia. If you're looking monster description inspiration, just look out the window and describe the first random critter that passes by. Okay, true. Everything in Australia can basically kill you. It's kind of hilarious, but we don't actually see horrifying creatures all that much, honestly. Although, like, some of the things those native flora and fauna are capable of is quite scary. That said, I do love actually going out and camping. One of these days, I would like it if I could actually take my laptop out and write like in the wilderness on the beach in my tent, because that would just kind of be like really peaceful. Back in, let's see, oh my goodness, this feels like a lifetime ago, like towards the end of June, which was like round about the beginning of snow season, we actually went down and drove to the snowy mountains, and we rented a tiny house on Airbnb just for a weekend, and that was like so nice. There was like a little bench that like overlooked this beautiful creek and all this bushland, and I was just like, if I could afford it, I would love to just hole up here in this tiny house for a month and just like smash out 100,000 words or something like that, because there was just like absolutely no distractions there, and it was just so incredibly zen. Revillion, I'm just shy of 5,000 words, which I'm happy with. That's awesome. That is an awesome start to day one. Way to go. Let's see, who else? Is that a plan? I wish my tiny house thing could totally be a plan, but it is actually pretty expensive. So that one weekend down at the snowy mountains, like not counting any of the other costs, I think we paid like, it was like $500 for 2 nights in the tiny house, and that was already kind of on the cheaper side of things because we were staying in Jindabyne, which is not in the snowy mountains proper. If we had actually stayed at the resorts, then I'm sure we would have been paying something like $1,000 Australian dollars, but still like $1,000 for like 2 nights. And a lot of the ski resorts during ski season, they don't accept bookings for less than like a week, and it was just like, we were just like, we can't afford that. That said, like a lot of the places do have lower rates for like outside of ski season. So I don't know, I feel like I really want to go somewhere for Christmas because Sydney in particular has been in lockdown for ages. Like we've only just come out of lockdown like maybe 2 weeks ago, and everyone's just kind of feeling like still a bit like we need to get out and like catch up on all of this time that we've been cooped up in lockdown. Like our lockdown went for 106 days, which honestly just drove me mental. Like I literally don't know how anybody with more than one young child at home survived that with homeschooling and everything, because I only have one kid. She's still in daycare. Daycare was shut, or well, daycare wasn't shut, but like we were told not to go to daycare unless it was like an absolute emergency, and that already drove me mental. So I'm just kind of like still mentally recovering my sanity because like she's been back at daycare for 2 weeks, but like my brain still feels like it's in pieces from having to be like at home and try to do stuff while, you know, she's there bored out of her mind, not being able to see her friends and stuff. Steven started a horror fantasy almost at 20k already and about to finish Act 1. Really getting good vibes for a YA horror fantasy here. That's awesome. 20k, like that is fantastic. And that's a really great start for Act 1. So is your horror story going to be like what 60, 70k, something like that in total, Steven? Let's see. Oh, Rebellion. Lol, sorry, I meant on your screen. Is that a plan of your writing? Yes, this is my vague plan of what I am writing. So it's a pretty big document, but not actually as big as I would like. So when I write, I kind of work off of a chapter breakdown, and I've been following like mostly Sanderson's method of outlining, and I'll put some links in the description below for what I was doing in Preptober. So because I kind of like went through my method, but essentially I really like the way Sanderson works because it just kind of works for me. I've always had a lot of trouble plotting like character arcs per se, and I have attempted to write stuff out of order before. It just doesn't work. Like anything I end up writing out of order, I end up having to chuck out during revisions. So I basically follow his method, which is I kind of work out what the overall plot arcs and like key moments and climaxes should be. And then I basically work out who my characters are, and then I start from page 1 and I write through to the end. And that just works well for me. Where I find Sanderson's method is doesn't quite work for me is his plot structure is on the whole idea of promises, progress, and payoff. And usually that's a really good method for me to diagnose if like something's not working, because I'll be like, oh, okay, like it's not working because I haven't made the right tone promises or the right character promises or the right kind of story promises at the beginning, because the opening doesn't match up with where the story is going to go. But I have a really hard time sitting there at an outline level and just going like, what is the awesome thing? Like I just kind of, I like my brain just doesn't work like that. So, but as long as I know who the characters are and what their goals are, then I can kind of just write it. Even though as you saw as I was writing, I just had like all of this like mental, like, you know, everything I'm writing like just kind of sucks like on the side of my document here. But it's fine. You know, nobody's gonna see this as the final published version of what I'm writing. So that is totally okay. Steven says, I don't understand you Aussies about these lockdowns. What do you even vote? Okay, yeah, okay, so Ozpol is kind of really messed up. Like, yeah, I don't know, like, to be honest, the political situation down here in Australia is not great. We don't have any competent people running the country. Our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, who we call him ScoMo. ScoMo is just kind of a walking disaster. Yeah, like the less I say about Australian politics, the better, honestly. And like the elections here, like voting is compulsory, right? So everybody of voting age needs to actually vote. So it is very different to I think America, where you guys like you need to register to vote, and then like you do a whole get out the vote thing. Like everyone in Australia has to vote. But and you know, like that's got its own pros and cons, I guess. But yeah, the fundamental problem is like neither of the two political parties in Australia are appealing, at least for me right now. Like I just kind of like, I'm just like, I hate both of your policies, and I don't really like any of the people you have running for office right now. So yeah, it's kind of not a great situation to be in. Oh my goodness, 100k horror novel. That is cool. That is awesome. But if you've done 20k already, like I can totally see that you're going to absolutely hit 100k by the end of the month. Vague, that's so detailed. Oh man, you should have seen my outline last year. It was way more detailed than this. But I actually had I actually still got to the point last year where I was just like, I haven't worked out the exact beats of the scene, and I'm really struggling to write it. So yeah, I don't know. Your mileage may vary, definitely. I do like Sanderson. I live by his rules for magic systems and world building, but I plan by Save the Cat. So, Revelia, I don't know how you find this because I really struggle with the part of Save the Cat specifically, like not necessarily in how you know, you set up like the opening and the ending, but like it's just like the swampy middle of where it's just like, okay, you've had your catalyst and you've got your break into two, and then now it's like fun and games. Like I always struggle with the fun and games because like the way Save the Cat kind of described it for me is like you've got the swing into the B plot, you kind of like going around doing all the cool things, and my problem was always just figuring out how all of the cool things tie together and fit together into advancing the main plot. Yeah, I don't know, I just have issues balancing the plot threads. Thomas Anderson says, 5th grade class joining your write-in. Hello. Hi, guys. Welcome to the write-in. You have just caught me at the end of my first sprint for the day. So we're just chit-chatting right now and updating everybody on our progress. But I will be back soon at 7:30, which is, well, maybe it's not 7:30 your time, but in like 27 minutes for the second write-in. So if you guys want to hang around for that, you can hop on to the next stream and you can see me struggle to write more of this particular chapter because I'm just like, like everything is, I don't know, like everything's extremely slow in my head. Like I just have a whole pile of notes right now that are kind of like, just look at how many placeholder things I have in here. Like I clearly haven't done enough world building, which is kind of ironic for somebody who loves reading Brandon Sanderson just for the world building. He gets so much complaints that he's got world builder's disease, but I actually find he's pretty good about it. Unlike some other authors where there's like literal page dumps of what feels like is there just for world building Tolkien. But you know, maybe that's just me. Let's see. Revillian says, so I go with it being Save the Cat a little loosely. I stick as rigidly as I can to the percentages as they lay out. Yeah, like the percentages in Save the Cat are always an interesting thing. And I say this with the caveat that I have not read Save the Cat Writes a Novel. So I've just read like the original Save the Cat, which is for screenplays, and I guess stage plays as well. Although like I put an asterisk next to that because I'm always like, okay, so like when I'm writing a stage play, when I'm writing a musical, like songs take time, and also like songs are at different tempos and stuff. So when I was writing my musical, like some of our songs would actually have a lot of lyrics, and it would, you know, be Lin-Manuel Miranda style, like Hamilton raps, and like those songs would go for pages and pages. But like in terms of runtime, like actually on the stage, they wouldn't necessarily take up more stage time than say a slow romantic ballad, for example. So yeah, like I don't know. And then the other thing that confused me about Save the Cat, again, not having read like the novel version of the framework, is like I don't know if any of you guys have read say like the screenplay for things like Breaking Bad, the pilot, for example. But my memory is like when you're writing action, right, and you're doing a lot of action and blocking in, like say the oh my gosh, what do you call it? In stage plays, it's like stage directions, but like, what do you call it in screenplays? I don't know, like it's just like the super indented text that describes like, you know, what the camera is doing and what the actors are doing, and you know, all the action stuff. When you write that kind of stuff, I'm just like, I've tried writing action scenes before, like car chases and I don't know, explosives and fight sequences and things like that. There's like, you need a lot of words to kind of convey the feel of what is supposed to be happening on the screen. Like if you've ever read a Joss Whedon screenplay, you know, the horrid Wonder Woman one, you know, notwithstanding, it's pretty verbose, like that section of the stage action. So I'm just always like, okay, like if you watch the Avengers movies, like a lot of those action sequences, like they're actually quite fast paced and they don't take up a lot of time in terms of like the runtime. But I'm sure they take up a lot of page time. So I would actually be really interested in going back to like Save the Cat and looking at where they say like, you know, on page 15, like this happens, and going like, well, does that actually happen on page 15 of some of these more action intensive screenplays? Because yeah, I'm not really sure that it does. Steven says, "Oi, no messing with my boy Tolkien." Yeah, I know, I'm sorry, like, what can I say about Tolkien? Like, Tolkien, you know, mad respect for Tolkien. Like, he's, you know, one of the definitive names in all of literature, I would say. Not just fantasy, like all of literature, but like I have to be honest, like there were places reading, you know, Lord of the Rings where I would just do massive eye rolls because I'm like, I don't really want to sit here through like another 4 pages of a super dense like and highly stylized like ballad of, you know, a bunch of people who lived like 4,000 years ago in like Middle Earth and blah blah blah. I'm just like, I just kind of want to see more of Aragorn doing his thing, like fighting ring wraiths. Yeah. Rebellion says, the fun and games I kind of treat as the meaty bit of the story that ends in the wrong place. Oh, that's actually a really good way to think of it. And then the same thing after the midpoint, but the meaty bit of the story that ends in the right place, if that makes sense. That actually makes total sense. Steven says, a good Save the Cat story takes more than 100k, so as a debut, restrained to within 100k, well, good luck. I think I'm gonna need the luck regardless. Yeah, like I was actually looking back at what Will White did for Unsold in terms of word count, and I think Unsold is actually about 89,000 words, which is on the, I mean, it's on the low side for fantasy, but it's also like way more words than I'm planning right now. And one of the critiques of Unsold is that it gets off to a very slow start. Like the story doesn't actually pick up for real on like the actual main overarching plot of Cradle until about halfway in the book. Which, you know, if you're kind of going like, oh, Save the Cat kind of structure, like, yeah, that's not like, you know, page 10 or page 15 whenever that catalyst is supposed to happen. But yeah, like Unsold is actually really interesting because like the entire first chapter is basically an info dump, and I'm just like, why does this work? Because usually everybody tells you that like exposition in info dumps are bad, but it works in Unsold for some inexplicable reason. Like the whole first chapter is literally in an info dump, and the genius of Will White, and I don't know how many of you guys who are on this live stream have read Will White before. He's just like, I love him. He's a great writer. He found a way to actually make the info dumps an integral part of the world and of the story, so that by the time I actually got to book 5, like the climactic moment in book 5 of the Cradle series, which is called Ghostwater, the actual climactic point was an actual info dump. And like my mind was just blown. I was like, I'm sitting here reading this, and I'm literally screaming in excitement because like to get this info dump was just, it was the culmination of so many plot threads that had happened, and I was like, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe that I'm sitting here and I'm screaming in excitement for an info dump. Like this has never happened while reading a book in my life. Rebellion says, if the story were to end at the midpoint, how much would the story need to progress to get to the end? It helps with keeping the pace snappy. Also, in Lord of the Rings, I skipped the song. Yeah. I knew I wasn't going to be the only one. Rebellion also says, my debut is 92k. I did it by Save the Cat, and whilst they've rejected so far, 2 agents did tell me that they really like the balance. Yeah, so I think you must be doing something right. Like that's pretty awesome feedback to have from agents. Like, oh, all props to you. And I would love to see how this particular NaNoWriMo of yours goes, because it sounds like you are off to a really roaring start. All right, guys, so it is like just after 10 minutes past 7 here in Sydney. I need to go get like some food so that I'm going to survive for the next sprint, which we will start at 7:30 Sydney time, which is in like just a little bit under 20 minutes from now. So if you want to just hop to my channel page and set a reminder for the next sprint, you can jump on and see when I go live for that. And I will see you all back here in 20 minutes. Bye, guys.